Months passed in a fragile peace after the duel. Alexander had fully integrated into the life of the tribe. He took part in collective hunts, helped repair huts after torrential rains, and shared stories of a distant world around the evening fire. Taro, on the other hand, had changed. He hunted with greater intensity, offered his share of game to the elders, and carefully avoided Alexander. A fragile truce, but a real one. One misty morning, Alexander decided to explore the northern part of the island, a rugged area he had always avoided because of its steep cliffs and impenetrable vegetation. Driven by insatiable curiosity, he pushed into the dense forest, a rudimentary machete in hand, crafted from a turtle shell and a shard of stone. After several exhausting hours of walking, he emerged into an unexpected clearing. There, half buried beneath ancient roots and thick vines, stood ruins. Stone walls, perfectly fitted without visible mortar, outlined an ancient structure. Fallen columns lay scattered on the ground, adorned with enigmatic carvings, stylized human figures, half men and half animals, surrounded by complex geometric symbols. At the center, a black basalt altar bore engraved inscriptions, lines, and curves unlike any writing Alexander had ever seen. His heart raced. He knelt and carefully cleared away the accumulated earth. Beneath a cracked slab, he found objects: an obsidian knife whose edge was still sharp, a finely decorated ceramic bowl, and what appeared to be a jade amulet depicting a serpent coiled around a sun. These artifacts were far more sophisticated than anything the current tribe produced. That evening, Alexander returned to the village without mentioning his discovery. He sensed that these ruins could disrupt the island's fragile balance. The tribe had its legends, the ancients, a powerful civilization that had mastered the forces of nature, capable of commanding winds and tides. They were said to have vanished after offending the spirits, leaving behind cursed treasures that brought glory to the worthy or ruin to the greedy. The next day, Taro noticed Alexandra's distracted demeanor. During a hunt, he secretly followed him as Alexander returned to the ruins to explore further, hidden behind a curtain of ferns. Taro watched Alexander uncover a new section, an underground chamber accessible by a collapsed staircase. Inside, wall frescoes depicted ritual scenes, ships with immense sails, and a glittering treasure guarded by giant serpents. Taro returned to the village before Alexander, his mind racing. To him, these ruins were a sign from the spirits. If the legends were true, whoever found the great treasure of the ancients would become the greatest chief the island had ever known, and it would not be the outsider. That evening, around the fire, Taro spoke before the assembled tribe. In a strong voice, he claimed to have received a vision. The spirits had shown him the path to the ancients' remains, a sacred place only a true son of the island could discover. He proposed a collective expedition to honor the ancestors and reclaim their lost heritage. Alexander, sitting opposite him, felt his stomach tighten. He could contradict Taro and reveal that he had found the ruins first, but that would make him seem like a liar who hid secrets from the community. Or he could remain silent, letting Taro claim the discovery and risk awakening greed and old rivalries. After a long silence, Alexander stood up. "I did indeed find these ruins yesterday," he said calmly. "The spirits guided me there, as they will guide those who are worthy. But these places are dangerous. The ancients disappeared for a reason. Seeking their treasure could draw their anger." A murmur rippled through the tribe. The elders nodded gravely. The younger members, excited by dreams of glory, looked at Taro with admiration. Taro clenched his fists. The outsider was trying to control everything again. The days that followed were tense. The tribe decided to organize an expedition, but Alexander insisted on caution, no hasty digging. Respect for the site offerings to the spirits. Taro, acclaimed as guide, accepted reluctantly. During the first collective visit, Alexander showed the objects he had set aside. The tribe was amazed, but when Taro saw the jade amulet, he seized it greedily. "It is the sign of the serpent," he cried, "the one worn by the legendary chief. The spirits have chosen me." Alexander tried to reason with him. These objects belong to the island, not to one man. Let us keep them for everyone. But part of the tribe, impressed by Taro's confidence, began to doubt. Was the outsider trying to keep power for himself? That night, Alexander could not sleep. He knew that if Taro seized the mythical treasure it truly existed, he could rally the tribe against him and have him banished, or worse. But revealing everything he had seen in the underground chamber risked unleashing a blind rush, profaning the place, and awakening not a curse, but human greed. The next day, he made his decision. He would go alone at night and explore deeper into the chamber. If he found the treasure, he would hide or destroy it to protect the tribe from itself. If there was nothing, he could convince everyone to abandon the dangerous quest. Under the pale moon, Alexander slipped back into the ruins. The staircase creaked beneath his steps. At the back of the chamber, behind a movable fresco he had noticed earlier, he discovered a door sealed by an ingenious mechanism. Stones to be aligned in the shape of a serpent. Beyond it lay an intact chamber. At its center, on a pedestal, rested what seemed to be the heart of the legend, a black stone chest engraved with the same symbols. When he opened it, Alexander lifted the lid with infinite caution, as if fearing the air trapped inside for centuries carried a curse. The mechanism groaned softly, and the lid tipped open. Inside there was no gold, no glittering jewels, no legendary weapons, only a single object, a roll of fine leather, supple despite the centuries, protected by a layer of beeswax. Beside it lay a small sealed vial containing a dark, viscous liquid, and an obsidian blade, so perfect it seemed freshly made. Alexander carefully unrolled the leather. It was covered in fine, regular writing in the same symbolic language as the wall inscriptions. But at the center, part of it was written in a more recent variant, almost recognizable. A mix of pictograms and signs Alexander had begun to understand through the tribe's language. He read softly, translating with effort. "To those who come after us, we, the last of the great navigators, leave this testimony. Our people mastered winds and currents, built cities upon the waves and islands, and traded with lands you may call continents. But pride destroyed us. We dug too deeply into the earth to extract the black stone that burns. We cut the sacred forests to build immense fleets, believing we could command the spirits instead of respecting them. The sea grew angry. Storms came, the land shook, volcanoes awoke. Our mother island sank in a single night. The survivors fled on small boats. We arrived here exhausted and swore never to repeat our mistakes. We hid our most dangerous knowledge, deliberately forgot how to forge metal and command great sails. We became humble to survive. The liquid in the vial is the last poison we knew. It grants eternal sleep. We kept it so that if pride ever returned among our descendants, someone could choose the end rather than destruction. The blade is to open the vial. Whoever reads these words is now guardian of this secret. Do not let the ancient madness rise again. Live with the sea, not against it. The ancient's Alexander remained motionless for a long time, the roll in his hands. This was no treasure of glory. It was a warning, a confession, a responsibility. He closed the chest, his heart heavy. The present tribe was exactly what the ancients had chosen to become, a simple people, in harmony with nature, ignorant of the techniques that had caused their downfall. And now he, the outsider, had introduced better tools, new ideas of progress. And Taro dreamed of greatness, power, treasure. The true danger became clear, not a supernatural curse, but a human one. If Taro gained access to this message and interpreted it as a call to reclaim lost power, he could divide the tribe and repeat the fatal cycle. Alexander made his choice. He wrapped the roll in his own cloth, slipped the vial and blade into an inner pocket, then closed the empty chest. He erased his traces, sealed the chamber entrance with stones, and made the place as anonymous as possible. At dawn, he returned to the village. The tribe was waiting. Toro had convinced several young men to organize a major excavation that very day. Alexander stood in the center of the clearing and spoke loudly. I explored deeper last night. The treasure we sought does exist, but it is not made of gold or power. The ancients left us a message. They were great, yes, but their greatness destroyed them. They chose to forget everything to survive. Whoever seeks to reclaim their former power chooses the path of this island's death. I propose that we leave the ruins in peace and continue living as we do now, simply respecting sea and land. If anyone still wishes to dig deeper, know that you may bring misfortune upon us all. A heavy silence followed. The elders nodded slowly. Some young men looked to Taro. Taro stared at Alexander for a long moment. He sought glory and respect, a way to surpass the outsider. But in Alexandra's eyes he saw neither fear nor contempt, only deep sadness and calm resolve. For the first time, Taro lowered his gaze. The spirits have spoken through the outsider, he said hoarsely. We will let the ancients sleep. The tribe murmured its approval. The digging tools were put away. The ruins were never visited again, except occasionally to leave offerings of fruit and flowers. Alexander kept the secret until the end of his days. The roll, the vial, and the blade were buried beneath his shelter, far from curiosity. He continued to live among the tribe, teaching only what strengthened their harmony with the island, never what could threaten it. And the island remained peaceful, rocked by the waves, a silent guardian of past mistakes and the wisdom of those who survived.